Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Mike and Evan. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey.
Hello. Happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, I guess I should have opened with ho, ho, ho. Huh?
Ho, ho, ho.
All right, time to start over, Kyle. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Let's keep
Cut.
going.
Cut. Yeah, this is going to be our holiday episode. And if you're wondering why I do not have Christmas lights, it is because I'm technically inept, apparently, and don't know how to use video filters. But
Man, Mike and I were trying to talk to him like he was our grandpa. He's like, click video filters.
Yeah.
No, not that button.
Yeah, but I'm clicking it and nothing's happening. Anyway, we tried for like 5 minutes to get my Christmas lights to work, and they're not here. So it is what it is. I'm on Hoth. It's very cold and appropriate for the season, but unfortunately there's no Christmas lights. But
Yeah, I'm also on Hoth in a Wampa cave, which is
Yep.
like an even worse situation to be in.
but you do have Christmas lights, so it's a festive Wampa
Yeah,
cave.
that's true.
Yeah, so this is gonna be sort of, I think, a fun little episode. One of our listeners suggested basically what if you could change D tier units to be not D tier units by
Yeah.
adding a single keyword, what would you do to each of the D tier units? And we're gonna expand these a little bit. We're not gonna mess with points because I feel like that's cheating. But we'll do either add a keyword or change some other like element on their card, like their dice or the hit points or something like that, to make them not a D tier unit. I think we'll try and stick to keywords, but all that other stuff is on the table if necessary. So this is kind of like if you will, a Legion Christmas list. If we could have something for each of these units, from Santa, what would we want for each of these units from Santa? So yeah. Unfortunately, if I had really thought ahead, I would have written these down in crayon on a white piece of paper, like my kids. But I didn't get that far. So, in fact, if I had a crayon next to me, I would consider just doing it right. You know what? I'm gonna do it while you guys are talking. I'll take the first one. We'll do this one without writing on a piece of paper. I'll take Fifth Brother. All right. So he is one of our D tier operatives, unfortunately, one of our D tier force users.
Way back in that first tier podcast where you talked about force users, is that Fifth Brother, and the next one we'll talk about were the first victims of being labeled as naughty by Notorious Scoundrels. So yeah,
Slandered.
What are we gonna give Fifth Brother?
Yeah. So personally, I would do defend one at. So I'm going to go 2 routes here. The first route I think is going to be more effective and also more in the rules of just using a keyword, and that would be defend 1. It would give him a way to trigger his block. One of the downsides of the Inquisitors relative to their other brethren is that they don't have just always on deflect.
Yep.
So if they get shot and they don't have a dodge token, they're just as in trouble as a force user used to be for the first 5 years of this game. But which is to say, in trouble. So defend gives him a way to basically always proc that. He also has that card that's kind of like the pseudo reverse teamwork with Seven Sister. So if you give him defend 1 and that gives him a dodge token for getting an order, that would also give Seven Sister a free aim token. So I think that would be pretty neat. Thematically, since he's kind of supposed to be just kind of a raging bull that gets in there and whacks things out of control, I would probably just add dice to his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Throw like a red dice on there.
Yeah.
Maybe,
not make it pierce 2, but make it better attack.
Yeah, just increase the dice profile.
Yeah.
Maybe give him like an alternate lightsaber profile that has spray.
Spray. Oh, interesting.
Like a black dice spray.
Because it spins around.
Yeah, right, exactly. So
I feel like that's subverting the rules a little bit here. You're like giving him a keyword that just adds a ton of dice. We were like explicitly like, we can't add a ton of dice. And Kyle's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give the first unit on this list spray.
But
it's a keyword, Mike.
It is a keyword, and And that's not just a gift to Fifth Brother. That would be a gift to the community, because just think of how many dice you would roll when a Fifth Brother is chopping up like a full 8-person or 8 Ewok unit, and just, I don't know, rolling some stupid amount of dice because of that. Like, it
Well,
would write
it would.
itself.
I think it'd be an alternate weapon profile that had one
Yeah,
dice and spray.
yeah,
I mean, you don't want him rolling like 48 dice or whatever. That would be. Don't get me wrong. You'd sell some more dice packs, I guess, but
yeah,
uh, yeah. Anyway, that's me for Fifth Brother. I'm gonna grab a piece of paper,
yeah.
and
Sounds good.
I don't have a crayon, but I do have this handy panda colored pen here.
Wow. When
So
I was a kid, I only had 4 colors. That's like 12. That's crazy.
it's a lot of colors. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna use I'm tempted to use pink because that's what my daughter would use, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, I don't think that would show up very well on the screen. So I'm gonna use a different color. But you guys go ahead, and I'm gonna figure this. I think I'm gonna go with purple.
This
Go with
guy's a
purple.
professional
Yeah,
podcaster over here.
Yeah.
that's
I
right.
gotta say, I feel like I used to have a pen like that, but it was like much more professional. It like looked like it came from like MIT or something, and it's like, but it only had 4 colors, right? It was like red,
Yeah.
blue, green, and black, I think.
No.
That's yeah. I don't know.
I'm also gonna use a slightly torn up paper that has random musical notes written on it.
There you go.
This is also from one of my kids. So yeah, this is appropriate for a kid Christmas list here. I'm gonna do the other ones while you guys go.
All
I'm
right.
excited.
I think
Yeah.
the next one we got up here is Seventh Sister to go along with Fifth Brother. I think I'm gonna follow your lead here and suggest two things, one or the other. I actually think that if you gave Seven Sisters range profile scatter, it would at least make her very interesting.
Hmm.
And potentially make her just have a I don't know, she just doesn't really have a like job in an Empire army, and because Force Push is an insanely costed upgrade now. Um so uh I sort of feel like giving her scatter kind of allows you to do some like weird wacky things on a unit that's like pretty cheap. If we're trying to be dull and less cool, I think really what she probably needs is she just needs like one more health, to be honest. I think that would go a long way, but that's less interesting. So I think scatter would be my pick on her throne spinning lightsaber.
Wouldn't that would make her 7 health? Because she's 6, right? Fifth Brother's 5.
She no, Seven Sister is 5 health.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shows how well I know the cards. My bad.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I do think Fifth Brother is 6.
okay. I guess I just mix them up
Because
then.
he's got the enrage.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think either one of those work. I like scattered on the range tech. Is that just like spray, is that there's a thematic part of like, we don't have the time to talk about my opinions of the spinning lightsabers. That's probably something more for a blog post,
yeah, I think that's fair.
in terms of how that represents the fiction. But for what we got, is that I think you would scatter if there was a spinning lightsaber that was twirling around your heads. So I like
Right?
it.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I feel like
that seems appropriate.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they like, if I recall, they like threw them and they like returned and stuff. They're kind of like a
Yeah.
frisbee, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the
Um,
spinning part of the lightsaber didn't hit them when they caught it, but yes, that is what they did. It's like a boomerang,
A,
basically.
a boomerang that's also a helicopter. That's the spinning lightsaber.
I want to propose a uh third option for both of these units that we haven't suggested,
Okay.
and that is hover.
So, okay, I'm not even joking. Is that when they were first revealed, I was like, they're gonna have Hover Air 1. Is that they're gonna be just like the probe droids? Is that they can just sort of like go up and down? And I was kind of incensed when they didn't do that. So here's hoping.
Yeah, that it seems like they at least should have like a mode where they should be able to like turn it on and
Yeah,
just yeah,
they didn't even get a command card. Man, yeah,
missed
such a big miss.
opportunities.
Yeah, such a
Yeah.
missed opportunity. Okay. Well, so my first one is we're moving on to when you guys are ranking the special forces. Um, is My first one is the Rebel Wookiees specifically, because uh, as we know, the even though the Gar Wookiees like have their place in Rebels, certainly with Super Sellout, is that we wonder what the role is. And I think that you could actually probably do this for both varieties, is that this would go along with their Indomitable, but what if you gave them Spur? So that their role as a charger could be, it would get back a little bit of the flavor that they had with the old version of Scale, to where they would be like moving across the battlefield extra fast while also, um, not caring that much about elevated terrain. Is that if they had Spur and Charge, they wouldn't quite have jump the way that Mandalorians do, but that they would be fast, and that they would have a little bit of a cost with getting a suppression, but not a huge one because they can usually roll it off. I think that would make them stand out more as being a scary melee unit, the way that they normally would be. I guess that would be for the melee Wookiees. If we were talking about the shooting Wookiees, I think you can keep it probably relatively simple and just give them target. And at least that way, with all their white dice, they would have a better way to kind of get that extra little bit out of them, because sometimes it really feels like a lottery with them. Yeah, so
It's
Spur
a
and
total
target.
slot machine with
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with Cassian. So my Cassian keyword that I would like to give him is actually one that, of course, this is backwards because Zoom mirrors your handwriting. So this is
I'm
really
doing it the
right.
right way.
It's right.
It's the right
Is it?
way.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Well, it's backwards for me, but I'm glad you guys are seeing it correctly. I guess Zoom
The
is
text is
working
backwards.
correctly.
It's not working.
Yeah, right. First I can't get the Christmas lights. Now it's
It's
like,
fine,
guys,
Grandpa.
the text is backwards. Okay. Well, I would add Gunslinger just like permanently to Cassian. I know he gets it on crack shot, but why not just give it to him all the time, every turn? I don't know. He's only got 2 to 3 dice on his gun. Like I think he'd be fine. Maybe that's a little bit too good.
I mean,
On his pistol profile, I agree.
Pistol profile, yes. Like maybe when it's on pistol side, he can get Gunslinger, because
Okay,
then I think
that's
it does
fair.
make sense.
Gunslinger also thematically doesn't make a lot of sense with a sniper rifle.
It also seems like every Republican Empire player is just gonna cry.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's fair. So maybe it's like Gunslinger with
Poor
just the
Rex.
pistol profile or something.
Yeah.
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 I think you technically need a new keyword for that because Gunslinger is a unit keyword, not a weapon keyword.
Well, you can have it be just the same that
That Sardam works, maybe.
Well,
Or...
I mean the commando sniper rifle, it says the whole unit gets lethal 1, and so
I see.
you sort of like backload the keyword onto the weapon side.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on the weapon. This
Right.
unit gains Gunslinger or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
like that.
All right.
I dig that. He turns into like a little mini Han.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could dig that a lot. All right. Next one we got is Poggle the Lesser. I'm gonna be honest. This one was tough. Because I don't know. He's just like a support unit that
I
doesn't.
think we know why.
Yeah. But I did come up with Teamwork, Count Dooku.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought could be interesting. And I think one of the things that I don't love about Poggle the Lesser and Geonosians right now is that you're not really incentivized to take them with Dooku, and I think giving players more incentive to do that would be good. And allowing him to kind of like act as a token battery for at least some units. Exemplar, I don't know. I mean, we could just like slap Exemplar on him, but that's less fun. So
Oh, you're stealing one of mine. I guess exemplars is the good keyword for a lot of like lackluster commanders, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Teamwork Count Dooku is a little bit more interesting.
I like that a lot.
You can like supercharge Dooku with him maybe, and I don't know. The only time we really see Poggle in the movies is with his boy. So
that's fair.
Yeah. Well, that's Poggle the Lesser.
Yeah, I like how thematic a lot of these have been. So that'll make Lucasfilm happy. So it'll be a gift to them too.
There you go.
So yeah, speaking of speaking of giving exemplar to commanders, is the how about for the Wookiee chieftain? Staying on the subject of Wookiees, that we give him exemplar. Like he gets the dodges, but often for the at least like the first round is that the like he's going to be the easiest thing to hide in your Wookiee army because he's the single mini unit that you're going to have, either him or one of two. And so those dodges in round one are often like actually not helping anything. But considering the fact that he has agile, is that he could be helping his buddies out. I think other options for him are tactical to go along with the agile, especially because he has the duels keyword, because that way he's like he gets the tools to really like make the most out of that duelist keyword if he's supposed to be a Wookiee that is extra good at doing Wookiee things, because right now he feels like he's just sort of a more expensive version of the multi Wookiee units that can like do more damage than him. And so I think I want to make him stand out a little bit more. So yeah, either tactical or exemplar would do him well.
I think that's fair. I think Exemplar is also like more thematic for the Wookiee chieftain
Yeah.
than Poggle the Lesser, who's like hiding behind
Yeah.
buildings and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
he's not exactly like a paragon of
Yeah, not super inspirational.
yeah.
Yeah, whenever I think of the Wookiee chieftain, I always think of that scene where he's like kind of at the front of all
He's
the
the first
Wookiees,
one
and
to
he's going
stand
like,
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, exemplar would totally fit, I think, with that. All right, speeder bikes. That would be the 74Z Empire speeder bikes. As much as I would like to give these guys a keyword that makes it so that they crash into things, I don't think that would make
Yeah.
them above D tier. So I think simply just giving them native cover 2.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
I think this is gonna be fun to see how differently we approach this.
okay. I mean, oh yeah, because you have another bike on here too.
I do.
I don't know if that would be, because they're supposed to be like super hard to hit, which makes sense because they're moving really fast.
They're very fast.
With the new cover rules, I don't know that that would be enough. So I would also consider giving them low profile. You know, give them native cover 2 and low profile, and maybe that would be enough to kind of make it so that they're like a speedy, more durable unit that doesn't just immediately evaporate as soon as any trooper unit sees them. But yeah, that's what I would do. It feels on theme. It addresses their core issue, which is that they just die immediately. So yeah, I'd consider cover 2 and low profile.
Yeah, so I have Stap Riders, which are, I feel like, in a very similar boat to the speeder bikes, except more fragile because they have worse saves.
Yes.
So I think what I would like to suggest here is either giving them defend 1 or defend 2. And I think that really kind of again incentivize, like, you want to have orders on them anyway, but it really punishes you if you don't. And I think a lot of separatist lists are like starting to lean away from order control, so it kind of like again reemphasizes that. And B, I think I like the fact that staps are like really fragile, just from like a thematic perspective. But so like if they've got 1 or 2 dodge tokens just from defend, they can pick up like 1 or 2 more from agile or whatever. You can make them kind of tanky, but you have to like kind of work for it. So that was sort of
I like defend. It goes along with the chaining, like you said. And you know, there's a bunch of things you could do. Like back in the day, we probably would have said that outmaneuver would have been one of the things to think about. Now I think that's much less helpful than it would have been.
Yeah,
7
man,
months ago.
what a keyword that just got nuked by 2.6.
It sure doesn't feel worth the points that situational awareness costs these days.
No.
But that's a topic for another time. Yeah, I like defend a lot. I think probably 1, because like two dodges seems like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I feel like you could play with defend 1 and it might not feel that much different.
Yeah.
So, but again, there are 3 of them. I also think it like the defend thing also incentivizes you to continue to keep flying them in formation, which I think is really interesting. Obviously, you're kind of supposed to do that with steps anyways, but I think really punishing people for not like properly planning how they're flying their speeder bikes is like if you don't fly your speeder bikes properly, you should get punished, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I agree. All right. So for my next one, first of all, we have to do a tiny mea culpa here. Is that when we were talking about the lat in the last episode, is that I don't think we mentioned the fact that it did get a second ordnance slot.
doesn't matter.
So,
Still D tier.
I'm sorry. For those of us that don't speak Latin, Evan, can you clarify what that means?
So yeah, that's a good point. Is that I'm first of all, I'd feel bad for you that you don't speak Latin. It's a wonderful language. But so the second ordnance slot means that you can go out there and shoot with your primary and one of your ordnances, and then on the next turn you can shoot with your primary and the other ordnance because it does have arsenal too. And so that means that you don't like as long as you load on two ordnances, you don't have to take a recover in order to be able to use two weapons, and so you can sort of alternate them. And so typically you would be alternating between a high energy shell and an armor piercing. And given the fact that the native gun has impact one, is that it comes in as like sort of a like less strong version of the saber tank shot at like 40 points less, but with significantly less durability. And then whatever value we want to give transport for something that doesn't block line of sight these days. Either way, I think most of us are still sort of doubtful about the lat, even in that circumstance, but it is something we should have mentioned. So with all that being said, is that I think that I think that maybe I had Republic more in the mind for this, but it would be useful for Empire as well, especially if IRG got a little bit of an upgrade in the future. But I was thinking about direct special forces. Is that like we've gotten a wider variety of direct keywords like in the game in the last years that it all started, of course, with the newer commanders that had direct core, and that was obviously really strong. But now we've seen other varieties, including the blatantly cheating Count Dooku, who can just direct any trooper that he wants. But I think that this is one where like direct is obviously very strong, but it's sort of along the lines of Cody to where it's like a little bit more specialized. And it goes along with the fact that typically the thing that is best if you're using transport, it's best to use that with close-ish range units, which and both Empire and Republic have like close range special forces units. And both Empire and Republic will at least consider putting aggressive tactics in their list to where the face-up orders become more valuable. And so I think that would encourage a little bit more list diversity. And but even though you wouldn't be making the lat itself better, it would encourage you more to make it a part of your larger army.
I love that actually. Particularly because it might be the first thing we've ever seen that incentivizes you to actually put fives in an arc unit.
That's fair. Yeah, actually, you're totally right. I hadn't even thought about that, but it's like it's usually sort of a joke that you can go into arc units, but now, yeah, it's something.
The charge is a little redundant at this point, but yeah,
that's fair.
But whatever. You're paying for the coordinate or whatever at that point.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so my last one here is the Gav occupier tank. And
good luck with this one.
So I have actually several things here on my we'll call this brainstorming because I know it'll be cheating to add like 3 keywords. Originally I was like, well, it'd be cool to make it more like a support vehicle, like the bus, right? And give it basically like free action handout tokens, right? So free action take cover, free action spotter. But then I'm like, what is Empire all about doing? If Empire is all about handing out tokens, it's all about handing out the suppression tokens. And if there's something that's on theme for a tank, it's that like when it gets up close to you, it's supposed to be big and scary, right? So I would consider giving it like Demoralize 3.
Mm.
And basically just have it just hand out suppression tokens every turn. You know, there's already some precedent for vehicles having Demoralize. The whole Fury Road Shadow Collective list can
Yeah.
do this. So it seems like if any vehicle should be able to do that. I mean, heck, maybe make it like Demoralize 4. Uh, if any vehicle should be able to do that, it's the Occupier. So I think that'd be cool to give it like a super high Demoralize value on it.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I like that a lot. And then it incentivizes some risk reward stuff because the closer you get to an enemy army is that the more exploitable weak points is. And so like if you're going to be getting there and demoralizing a bunch of people, is that it does mean that it makes your opponent a little bit more likely to be able to get to your side arc. But yeah, I think that separates it from the ATST because right now it just feels like, do you want an ATST that is not like all that much cheaper but does throw worse dice, and then it has a transport keyword that's of questionable utility in Empire, especially right now. But Demoralize would give it a little bit more character. I like it.
Um, Man, so I got the T-47 airspeeder here.
Oh,
Rough pull.
good luck.
Yeah. So I want to make my case for cheating a little bit here. Um, so
10 red dice.
no.
Spray. Give it
So
spray, Mike.
I'm gonna do neither of those things. But I'm gonna cheat within the rules. Um so I'd like to preface this by saying that the T-47 airspeeder is the closest thing we have to like a space superiority fighter
Mm-hmm.
in the game ish. Which is to say that this is a pretty powerful weapons platform.
It is. I mean, I think it's pretty clearly like a ground support aircraft, but
Sure.
point
Okay.
taken.
Let's
I
call
mean,
it a
think of all the damage the blasters did to the AT-ATs in Empire Strikes Back, which
Yeah,
is zero.
which is none. Yeah,
That's
But anyway,
not
go
true.
ahead.
They blew up the big one that was already on the ground at one
They did.
point.
Yeah. For some
Yeah.
reason, the being on the ground made the armor like 100 times weaker.
I think they
but-
shot it in the neck armor.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, they're
Um,
supposed to be like A10 Warthogs, basically, right?
Yes. And so in the spirit of the A10 Warhog, I think I want to give this guy Barrage.
Oh. Probably change the dice a little bit if we're gonna do that, right?
I almost was gonna suggest that, but then I thought to myself, do we really need to? In that its pool isn't that much better than an AAT's.
But the AAT just sits there, like literally has to sit there while it's doing barrage, whereas a T-47 could do a speed 3 move for free and then barrage, and
No
that's a
doubt.
big difference.
And
The
the
T-47
T-47
is just instantly vaporized, though.
sure. It's
Yeah.
also like what, 50 points cheaper than an AAT?
Yeah. That is also a thing.
Is it really 50? I don't think it's that much.
I think it's 40.
An AAT is 165, just so that
Okay.
we're clear, and a T-47 is 125, so it's 40.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
40. All right.
But I don't know.
I like where you're going with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might have to shave like a couple black dice off it or a couple
Yeah.
red dice if you needed to do that. I think the cop-out answer was I was just going to give it armor 5, but that's not interesting.
I don't even think that's enough, personally. I mean, that would it would be better. But like,
Yeah.
we weren't seeing T-47s in pre 2.6 either.
I mean, while we're at
Yeah.
it, like we should also just give it native cover 2. Like if any speeder deserves native cover 2, it's the T-47.
This one might as well get covered 3, like I don't know.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Um,
roll red dice for cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
Crazy.
also, I mean, if we're just changing one thing, I could also see just like changing it to a red defense die. I think that would be fine,
I do too.
you
To be
know.
honest with you.
Yeah.
Um,
And it'd be on theme for being just really high flying and difficult to hit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they did it with the ATRT, right? Is that they upgraded the defense die of both the ATRTs because they downgraded the armor.
I mean, I don't know if that was the justification, but yeah, for sure. Because I guess the Rebel one is White Surgeon now, right?
Yeah,
Technically, yeah. Um,
Which makes sense when you think about the fact that the dude riding on the back already had her white surging save,
that
and he's
right, exactly.
riding
yeah.
on something that's metal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to do with this, to be honest. Other than like I think the clear thing with the T47 is it just really needs like points cut, like a pretty steep one. I don't know how steep is steep. I could see it clocking in at about like 100. I think would be. I think you got to make the T47 and the land speeder kind of like relatively interchangeable. Um,
I like increasing its lethality. I think that's on theme for it.
Yeah, I think so too.
I also would say that the barrage is not that crazy when you consider the T47's got the unstable astromech for a lot cheaper.
While we're at
The
it, let's
X34.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. While we're at it, let's make the tow cable matter again, or the harpoon, I should say.
Yeah. At
Like
least
now, it feels like everybody gets to freely reposition to be exactly where they were.
I think the tow cable should just instead of having the text it has on it, it should just have ion one.
or like hand out an
Or immobilize.
immobilize. Yeah.
Oh yeah, or an immobilize would be fine too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a tow cable, for God's sake.
Right. They literally like wrap it around the legs. Yeah.
Right.
And then the thing falls over. Like, anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I have the last one. Speaking of barrage, I have the AAT. And that one this was the toughest one I had because like it feels hard to like give it certain keywords or change much without like instantly changing it to like from being like right now it's a D because a lot of why it's a D is because the snail exists. But that I think that there are other factions that would probably be a-okay with being able to take an AAT. But I think that lethality is the direction I would go with it also. And so I think I would just give it sharpshooter one. Because then like if you're doing a barrage, it'll add up. And that way, like I think that would change the math to where at least you would consistently be doing uh like attack dice that are closer to the experimental droid snail because like right now it's kind of crazy about how much better the experimental snail is at just shooting stuff at range 3 especially than the AAT is, and I think that it just needs to get its attack dice mojo back, and sharpshooter 1 would at least make those dice count for that much more, and lose less of them to cover.
Yeah, it's crazy that a unit that has such a quality pool as far as like the quality of the dice in it, not the number, just like doesn't have the
I,
output that is necessary.
I think it just boils down to the fact that even like we're playing our little game here, but it probably needs something close to the least out of any of these units. Is that it probably just needs to get a little bit cheaper, and then it's going to be totally fine. But if we're keeping with the game here, is that I feel like sharpshooter would at least give it more of an edge over snails than it has right now. Because that gun is
I
way bigger than anything that's on a snail tank.
I
It's a
was gonna
really big
say
gun.
I also don't hate just giving the artillery cannon as long as it like just give it Pierce 1.
Yeah.
That might be too good.
With barrage, that's really good.
It is, but it is like I
That's a
don't
lot
know.
of points. I think
Yeah.
I don't think that
Yeah.
would be crazy.
Um, it would definitely, I think, instantly be playable
Yes.
because
sure.
all of a sudden, like Republic is not only like losing one guy to every AAT. That's the issue with the tank, right? With the AAT is they like you fire your main gun and maybe they lose two guys, and it's
Yeah,
like
if you're lucky.
if you're lucky, and you're like, oh,
Yep.
well, that was fun.
Yep.
Um, And if you slap Pierce on it, I don't know. It also gives you a reason. Also, giving the artillery cannon Pierce 1 gives you a reason to barrage in a lot of circumstances that you ordinarily would not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's especially in the modern game is that barrages only happen once you get to the POI that you want to sit on, but other than that, it needs to be moving at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully, I don't regret suggesting this 2 years from now.
Man, these AATs are murdering my clones.
Yeah.
Man, who gave him this idea? Ugh.
Yeah,
All
thanks, Mike.
All right. Well, any final holiday thoughts, gentlemen? I know this was a little bit of a quicker episode, but of course it is the holidays, so we know people will be traveling, including us, by the way. So, after the release of this episode, we'll basically be taking like a 1 week break, so don't expect another episode until sometime during the week of January 6th, basically.
Yep.
Sometime in there. We'll be on our next episode. So I'm sorry if you're like driving to your New Year's party and you're really jonesing for some Scoundrels to listen to. Sorry, maybe go back and listen to like an old one or something.
We have
don't
a
know.
variety of tier list episodes that you can go back and listen to us complain about these D tier units and
Get mad all over again.
That's right. All right. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. I almost merged Hanukkah and Kwanzaa into one word. Whatever
Hanukkah
you
and
celebrate.
Christmas are the same start night this year, so
Oh, that's neat.
it's a super fun combo year.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
Is my ignorance is showing, but they usually don't. Question mark.
They usually don't. So yeah, the next episode of Notorious Scoundrels that we'll be talking about the lunar calendar and its significance for Jewish holidays. So something to look forward to. But yeah, it scoots around. And this year it happens to just coincide.
Man, we really upped our academic game on this podcast, Evan, bringing you on. We're speaking Latin. We're talking about lunar calendars.
Yeah.
There's plenty more where that came from in 2025.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
Mike.
I'm Evan.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.